Welcome to this week's AEW Dynamite recap for January 27th, 2021. We'll go through each match, the winners, the grades, and then we'll review next week's card as well as AEW Dark. Get you everything you need to know about AEW in less than 8 minutes, so let's begin. First up, we have Eddie Kingston versus Lance Archer. Winner, Eddie Kingston. I gave this a C+. This was an okay match, one to get the kick off the night. Next up, we get a Jon Moxley segment talking about his 6-man tag match at Beach Break. Then another segment with Sting and Darby Allin talking about their upcoming street fight against Team Taz at AEW Revolution. Sting talks about it being showtime and bringing that back, and that they are street trash after what Taz said about them last week. Then we get Chris Jericho and MJF versus the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. Gave this winner, Chris Jericho and MJF. I gave this a B-. Chris Jericho looked a lot better in this match than he did last week. He messed up the lion salt, nailed it this week. He looked a lot smoother, even though I believe that this was taped. So it was basically the next day or that night. He looked better. This was a good match. Pillman and Griff Garrison look like they're players in the future as well. Next up, we get a segment, Pac talking about Kenny Omega. He's not happy. Then we have the Cody Rhodes response to Shaq segment. Now, first, if you watched AEW's awards show, you saw Shaq calling out Cody Rhodes, saying he wants to fight him, and let's do it in March, which would be AEW Revolution. That set up the segment with Tony Schiavone, Arn Anderson, and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes let Arn Anderson basically blab on most of the time. And basically he said that Rev Velvet will replace Brandy Rhodes in his match against Shaq and Jade Cargill. That's basically the gist of it there. That kind of Arn kind of droned on a little bit. Next we had Kip Sabian, Penelope Ford, and Miro talking about their wedding next week with our friend Charles, the butler, which is hilarious, and I love that angle as well. Then we have Hangman Adam Page versus Ryan Nemeth. Winner Hangman Page. I gave this a C. I was not understand why Nemeth got the start after a lot of other better people in the division. If you don't know, he's Dolph Ziggler's brother. I could have think a lot of the people that go against Page, not really sure why they picked him, and this was just a meh match. Matt Hardy comes out at the end and gives Adam Page a little advice. We'll see where that goes. Next up, we have Dax Harwood versus Jungle Boy with Cash Wheeler and Tully Blanchard handcuffed to Luchasaurus. Nice little twist there. Winner, Jungle Boy. I gave this an A-. This was by far my elite match of the night. This was a fantastic match. Dax Harwood knows how to storytell. Jungle Boy put on a show, and this by far was a fantastic match and one of the top matches, of course, of a young 2021. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, I suggest you should. Then we have Team Taz beating up the merch table guys. They're all pissed off because it was all Darby and Sting merch. They did that there. Britt Baker versus Shanna. Winner, Dr. Britt Baker. I gave this a C+. Shanna looked good. Dr. Britt Baker looked good. Setting things up for Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker next week. But Shanna looked good. She's had a couple warm-up matches in AEW Dark, and she's ready definitely to be kind of put on the main roster. Then we get a segment with MJF and Sammy Guevara. They're not too happy with each other. Then we finish with the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, and the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Dark Order, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. Winner, of course, the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. Gave this a B+. John Silver looked fantastic in this match. It was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of action going on. They didn't have a lot of time. This would have been a great pay-per-view match. But again, Young Bucks looked great. Dark Order, John Silver looked great. Stu Grayson looked great. And this was overall a fun match. So it was a good night of AEW Dynamite. Next week's card for AEW Dynamite, the special Beach Break that will take place February 3rd. First up, we got the main event, Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Jon Moxley, Pac, and Phoenix. It'll be interesting to see Mox, Pac, and Phoenix team up together. Of course, then you have the Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian wedding. We're all excited about that. Well, I wonder where this is going to go with Miro and Charles. Women's match I've been looking forward to a lot, and probably one of the main matches I'll be looking forward to that night is Thunder Rosa versus Dr. Britt Baker. Britt Baker has looked good in a couple warm-up matches. Thunder Rosa is one of the top women wrestlers, so that should be a good match. Then we get the Tag Team Battle Royale, Top Flight, Private Party, FTR, Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks, the Acclaimed, Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager, Sammy Hager, Santana and Ortiz, and the Dark Order, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson. And we get Chris Jericho and MJF as well. Also, we get the Young Bucks. If the Young Bucks win, they get to pick who they want to be in. The question is, if they win, will they want to challenge the Good Brothers? It should be a good show next week. Here's your quick recap of AEW Dark. First of all, Miro beat Fuego del Sol. Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus beat Lee Johnson and Aaron Solo. SCU, Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian beat in Terrence and Terrell Hughes. The Butcher and the Blade beat Mbadu and Casey Navarro. Ray Phoenix, my man, beat Baron Black. Shanna beat Kaylin King. Britt Baker defeated Brooke Havoc. Brooke Havoc, of course, was a newcomer, and she was part of the first Nightmare Factory class to be part of AEW, I believe. Abaddon defeated Vert Vixen. We had the walk-off segment with Peter Avalon and Lee Johnson, Snooze Fest. Santana and Ortiz beat Ryzen and Mike Verna. Tay Conte defeated Davarini. You should see a kick that Tay Conte put on. That was pretty impressive. Check that out on the YouTubes. Preston Vance defeated Ray J. Red Velvet defeated Maddie Rankowski. Danny Limelight with another win, beating Shawn Maluta. Evilise defeated Jasmine Allure, and Powerhouse Hobbs defeated Jake St. Patrick. The other match that they had talked about, Ryan Nemeth, Vary Morales, and Sean Dean versus Dustin, QT, and Nick Comorto, did not appear. I'm not really sure why they didn't use that match. Maybe it wasn't any good, but Nemeth got the start against Adam Hangman Page. Anyway, and that's your recap for AEW Dark.